Hello on the rockers. Get ready for a little burlesque with the mavens of the stage, internationally recognized burlesque artist, producer, designer, and creative visionary star, Miss Tosh, and her partner, performance artist, and mastermind behind some of your favorite shows like Drag Race and Big Brother. Yes! With my co-host, model, musician, Steven Dehler, and me, your sassy host with the sassy most. Buttons and bows and pantyhose on the Rocks podcast.
The place where too glam to give a damn. Raise a glass.
It's on the rocks.
Thank you for being.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hello, welcome to the show. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at On The Rocks On Air, and on Facebook, On The Rocks Radio Show. Send us an email, book us for a pride, wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. We don't care. We'll show up.
We will.
Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. Send us your comments, your guest request, and your guest questions.
This show is presented by Straw Hut Media. You can watch and or listen to every one of our over 400 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com, YouTube, Facebook Watch, on I Love Gay LGBTQ, and Barrel Magazine.
Gotta love them bears.
Oh, you know.
So, Stephen, today we're talking about burlesque. You have to say it like that.
Yeah,
Wagon Wheel Watusi.
Wagon Wheel Watusi, you know.
But you made your debut in burlesque like a couple of years ago.
I did.
And it's
that's
so
why
different for
I met
you.
our lovely guests
Yeah.
during that whole thing. Well, for me, I was brought on not even to be a dancer in it. I was brought on to be a pianist in it. They wanted me to perform with the singer, and then it sort of progressed into now I'm just like fully enveloped in burlesque.
Well, I have to tell you, I was shocked because I was in the audience and I was like, oh, he's the beefcake and he's going to walk out. And
Yeah,
you
no one
walked out at
expected
the beginning.
anything from me.
And then you were like in
Listen,
four numbers.
the bar was low.
But you were like in 4 dance numbers and you like did the damn thing.
I did, and then it kept getting progressively like more and more dancing and less music.
And less clothes, by the way. There was like a sock at the end.
Well, I mean,
It was the big sock.
it's burlesque.
It's burlesque. All right, Wagon Wheel Watusi. Let's introduce our divas of the hour.
Yes.
Besides us, Katrina Kemp. Kueen Katrina has been working in the entertainment industry since 2005. She's been a popular interviewer on the red carpet, entering the circus world in Cirque Berserk, appearing at Coachella Music Festival and Universal Studios, as a stunt person and actor in horror films, twerking her way through South America with Miley Cyrus, 600 performances in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Love Never Dies, and that was the show that never died. And she served as a mastermind behind the scenes for some of your favorite shows like Drag Race and Big Brother. She also received a diversity scholarship from the teachers at the famous Groundling School of Improv, and she also DJs, by the way. Currently, she's producing and appearing on stage in Los Angeles for Beauty of Burlesque, alongside her partner and our other guest, the fabulous Miss Tosh. Please welcome the queen herself, Katrina. She's like,
Thank you. Wow.
Also joining us, coming back to the show, Miss Tosh, an internationally recognized burlesque artist, producer, designer, and creative visionary whose glamorous theatrical productions have captivated audiences worldwide. She's become one of the most distinctive voices of the modern revival of burlesque. She comes from a 5-generational line of performers hailing back to
5
vaudeville.
generations.
We're going to hear all about it, too. Miss Tosh is the founder and creative director of the acclaimed burlesque production of Beauty of Burlesque, a theatrical review dedicated to celebrating the artistry, inclusivity, and historical legacy of burlesque. Her creative practice is rooted in a background in fine art and design as well. She studied at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, one of the leading art institutions in the U.S. Okay, Miss Thing! In addition to her work as a performer and producer, she's an accomplished couture costume designer and creative fabricator. Couture?
Is it couture?
Couture, that's what I said. Oh my God! Do you know when you see a word and you're just like, couture?
I was just like, what the hell is this word?
Couture.
It's Versace.
It's
Versace.
Lisa Rinna, it's couture. Like, calm down, bitch.
Someone said
Coder.
niche instead of niche, and I was like,
Yeah,
Oh, scratch that niche.
Thanks for letting that go by subtly, by the way. I really appreciate it. She's created custom performance costumes for major recording artists like Beyonce, Cardi B, Shakira, Paris Hilton, and the list goes on and on. She's performed internationally across North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America, bringing her theatrical burlesque productions to audiences worldwide. She's performed residences at historic venues, becoming the first American headliner at London's legendary Midwell Theatre in the West End. She also made history in Japan as the first non-geisha performer invited to present a performance inside traditional geisha houses, by the way. Her work has appeared in film, television, major media productions. Her appearances include productions such as The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Megalodon, The Beekeeper, and her work has been featured in leading publications, including Vogue, Playboy, V Magazine, Paper Magazine, and the list goes on and on. Does this couple ever sleep? Please welcome back to the show, the fabulous Miss Tosh.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, we obviously have so much to talk about.
Yes. That was a mouthful.
Yeah, well, coder.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
so funny.
I'm here for it.
So we're just going to do like a roundtable of both your careers. They couldn't be more different, and then how it's come together is just so magical. But Miss Tosh, performing is just in your blood. It literally is in your family line on your mother's side and your father's side. Can you share with the audience a little bit? And we have some pictures, by the way, from your family's past. Can you just talk about some of the legacy landlines that you have?
Yeah. So on my father's side, my great-great-grandmother is Maisie Evans, and she traveled with a troupe called Maisie Evans and the Banjo Boys. So she would be performing from Chicago to New York, and then she landed in Venice Beach and was one of the first performers at the Globe Theater when it reopened, or when it initially opened in 1918.
Yeah, that's like 100 something.
And so she's full-on vaudevillian showgirl, what we're all paying homage to, right?
That must be so exciting that we're doing a show at the Globe Theater.
Exactly.
On the same stage.
On the same
so
stage.
cool. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty special. And then on my mother's side, my great-grandmother was also a vaudeville star, owned a theater with my great-great-grandfather in Pittsburgh. And then their daughter later joined a series of vaudeville variety shows, but then was famously married to Ted Healy, the founder and creator of the Three Stooges, and then she performed alongside them as well. Yeah.
And there was a little Laurel and Hardy action in there too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So she was in Laurel and Hardy as well. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, alongside of them.
And now you're with Laurel and Hardy now.
I love that. See, it just keeps coming back and back.
Yes.
Cyclical, right?
Serendipity,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
How
Betty Healy.
special for you to be able to carry on that family legacy and make it
Yeah.
modern.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it something that you always just like did you fall like what age did you like fall in love with it? Because it's like obviously they like
Yes.
wanted you to fall in love with it, but did
Well,
they expect you to
actually-
fall in love with it?
Well, actually, I just uncovered our family history.
Really?
So my father and mother vaguely, when they came to see me perform for the first time, they also were kind of like, what is my daughter doing? And so I invited them to see this, and they're like, oh, this has been in our family, you know.
Wait, you didn't know before?
I didn't know before.
I thought you were
Isn't
raised with
that-
like posters of burlesque
No,
people all
I
around
had
you.
no
Wait,
idea.
what age was this that you discovered this?
I discovered this, I'd say about 24 when I was 24.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had been performing already for like at least
So you had
5
no
years.
idea. So you just were doing it.
Yeah. So my first introduction into burlesque is I was a dancer at Debbie Allen Dance Academy, and she showed me videos of Josephine Baker dancing topless with the bananas.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, who is this? What is this?
She
I
must
want to
have
be like,
felt it in
yes.
you.
And so I started creating my performances, and then got nervy enough to say, hey, family, you want to see what I'm up to?
Sometimes it's just in your blood.
Yeah. And then they were like, wait a minute. My father pulled out a picture of Maisie Evans. My mom pulled out a picture of Betty Healy. And then I went on this huge like family ancestry legacy hunt, because I'm like, well, where did these people begin? And where did it all start? And so since building my career since I was like 24, this has then been like the primary route of why I've continued doing what I do.
So on your own, what attracted you to burlesque in the first place?
I was initially seeing Josephine Baker and
Yeah.
thinking she was badass and fabulous, and learning her story of leaving America to become a celebrated star
Yeah.
in Paris during the time with like segregation and all this. So that was powerful and beautiful, her story, and then adopting like 100 children. Right? I was like,
And
this
still looking
woman,
glamorous.
I goes, this woman is incredible.
Yeah. It's
She
always
did it
about looking
before.
glamorous.
She did it before Madonna, right? But she was like really, really a humanitarian and really cool person. So I was always attracted to that lore. And then, of course, you know, the glamour girls growing up in LA, you know, seeing the Marilyn Monroes, the Betty Grables, all of that, and for the fashion. And I didn't start performing burlesque until I met my friends who Robert, who used to go by Sissy's Basic, and that, or Spastic, not
Sissy's Basic.
Sissy's Spastic, and JoJo Baby, who recently passed, but they were really my drag mothers, if you will, right? And so they pulled me into the world of drag, and I started performing my acts in a club called Berlin in Chicago.
Wow.
And so I developed this kind of performance
like
art.
a drag show?
Yeah, so I was originally doing burlesque in a drag realm.
Well, that makes
Club
sense
kid
because
realm.
a lot of drag comes from
Yes.
burlesque and the
Yes.
big showgirls, of course.
Exactly. So
Exactly.
then the comedy and the satire and my roots in the drag club kid scene, I didn't really come up with the contemporary burlesque scene.
Right.
They weren't my community initially. And so, yeah, that's why I've always kind of found myself in more of the drag club kid shows.
That makes so much sense now with like the style of the show
Yeah.
that you put together.
And the style
together.
too is very, very satire.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, like, what kind of girl were you in high school? Were you the musical theater nerd? Were you the cheerleader? Like,
right.
Fair, right? I was the art girl loner.
Really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I was like very studious, very dedicated to going to my dance academy after school, but also like hyper independent. Like I knew people, and I think
You didn't
people
have a
knew
clique?
me. I didn't have a clique.
Yeah.
And I would ditch school and like, because I looked older, so then I'd wear a lanyard and like pretend I was a teacher, and they'd all think I was a teacher, and I'd leave high school and I'd go to like yoga class.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
So LA, right? And I'd go like, I'd be like,
in her
to get my matcha.
Volkswagen,
Right.
her
my
yellow bug,
my little white VW
or the white
bug.
Oh my God, I
VW
can
bug.
envision this.
Or I'd go to the beach, or I'd go
You
to
had a
like
white VW, but was it a 2000 like era
Yeah,
one?
very 2000
I had a
with the
I had a
flower.
black
Yes.
one.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Gay.
Well, I mean, technically it was my dad.
Okay.
Technically it was my dad's because he used to have a
Wow.
original VW back in the
I got
Yeah.
it on eBay.
That's
Yeah, eBay when eBay Motors.
What is
was
your
real-
life? I can't wait for the
Yeah.
HBO version
God,
of your life to
eBay.
come out.
I know.
right?
So that was and you know, then I started hanging out with the kids in Topanga Canyon because they would all go like hike in the wilderness, and I thought it was wild and weird and fun. And then I was from Venice, so I was like really enmeshed in like the hood there, and so I had this like very variety of like lifestyle. I was in a gang when I was
I can
in
see
8th
that.
grade.
You remind me of like a John Waters version of a gang. Like, I can
Yes,
see that, right?
yes.
I was. No, but I was. I genuinely was because I had to like
Yes,
survive in my
totally.
hood, right?
Right,
So
right.
I was like totally jumped into the crew, and then I had to leave the crew, and that was not fun. But I did, and
So you
then
can cut a bitch if you need to.
if I need to, if hands
She was
have,
like, I've seen it.
if I need to, sure. A lot more to lose now than I did at 16
With a lanyard.
with my lanyard.
With your lanyard.
Lanyard was post all that. You know, I lived many lives very quickly.
And Katrina, you got into entertainment very early. So in high school, you were in front of the camera, behind the camera, putting on your live TV news.
Yeah, we had a live television show that was called K-Cav. We were the Cavaliers. And we ended up getting a partnership with Time Warner Cable at that time. And so we were like very like pressured to put on really good like segments so that people can go home and like watch it later on in demand or whatever. But we had almost 5,000 students that went to my high school at public school. Yeah.
I think we had 1,000 in my whole high school.
It's very
Yeah.
LA, right?
And
yeah, yeah,
so-
you know, yeah.
We have a little village in our
We
school.
had a media academy that was funded originally by the actor John Voight.
Yep.
And so he would like pop in like once a year and be like, "Hey kids," and like come on the
And you're
air.
like, "Where's
and-
Angelina?"
Yeah, exactly. And I actually met her when I was in high school. Actually, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh my God.
It was
It's
cray
gorgeous.
cray. It was cray cray. She literally like stalked a wall of paparazzi and was like a sweetheart and was like, "Let's take a picture." It was crazy. Yeah, it was like
Wow.
dream come true at that time.
Did you flirt with her?
No, I was definitely not even aware of my sexuality at that time.
Even when Angelina's around?
Even when-
Because at that moment.
I mean, I'm not aware of my sexuality
Yeah.
when Angelina's around.
I was not flirting with anyone. But yeah, and so I just kept going like in that direction of like television, and then I went to college for television. I kept just like pursuing that, and then when I was doing that, I was like, shit, like I have to like pay for college. And so I ended up working my first job, which was at Universal Studios, and that took me into the whole realm of the like special effects makeup community, and they always would need like a little person's like leg, like my legs were casted for like Ryan Murphy shows, and they would be like puppeted on someone's like mutant or whatever. And so I would do like,
That's my leg. That's my leg.
no, literally like watch party for like, there he is, and it's like my legs like crossing. And so because of that, it took me to stunts, and then eventually I'd be like, I got management and a couple different agents, and it just kept like growing from there. But I was always in the underground art scene here in LA and New York because of a very popular mashup party in the 2010s that was called Booty LA.
Booty LA.
And they would have like a Booty LA, a Booty New York, a Booty Sao Paulo, like
I'm a
Booty
fan of the
Miami.
booty.
Oh,
And it
don't
was
we know it?
it was Booty like bootleg mashups.
I love that.
And they gave me and this group of people who were just these like crazy fun creative dancers an opportunity to dance every single week on this stage, and it was our stage, and we could do anything we wanted to do with it. We could do costumes, we would do a choreo every midnight, and it was like a first real like thing I had consistently where people were like recognizing me outside of there and being like, you're that performer over there. And that go-going took me to star on like Drag Race in season 6, and it was like literally like people would just come up and be like, here's a card, like call me because I want you to play a demented doll, or I want you to be
Thanks.
I cannot tell you how many times it was freaking George Lopez is obsessed.
They want you to play George Lopez?
That's multicultural casting.
He loves little people strippers.
Jesse Handler likes little people too, a lot.
Oh,
Well, yeah,
a lot.
because she has, like, a- yeah,
There
she-
are a
but
lot
she
of
had, like,
celebrities who do, and
Yeah.
we talk about this a lot.
That's
But
kind of, I mean, how do you feel about that? Because it's like you're objectifying me for.
Yeah.
so it's interesting because on the one side, it's like, oh, you're getting like more like
Work and
people with
exposure.
dwarfism out there, like
Yeah.
exposure. But there's like a subversive thing with some artists and celebrities where it's like the party isn't complete without a wasted little person in the room. Like,
Right.
and it's very much
like a
this
trope.
like
Yeah.
trope of
Yeah.
like the
Right.
community of like there's average in the little people community, people with dwarfism will say AP or average height for people who don't have dwarfism, regardless of their height. So we would say like there's average height community that sees people with dwarfism, and there's average height community that sees littles.
Littles.
Got it.
And
Yeah.
littles is like this, it's just like a subjugated thing where we're kind of like infantilized and we're just around and we're being paid to just be like little and around. And so in my life, I've gone between like having opportunities in that way, and it's like kind of like, okay, the privilege is that you're getting to be on the George Lopez show or whatever, you know, but
Right.
the actual pay and the like
Perpetuating
process-
a stroke.
perpetuating
Yeah.
there, it's like I'm not I love strippers, clearly, but I
I'm married one.
Yeah, literally.
you know,
I'm in love
and
with a stripper.
I've gone and supported many of my friends at many different clubs. I love stripping. There's nothing wrong with stripping. It's the like it needs to be funny, and it's funny because it's a little person. And it's like, I cannot tell you how many times I would turn down that show, particularly for them to be like, so, well, do you know anybody who would want the honor of pretending to be a stripper on the George Lopez show, and I'm like, you guys,
It's just
like,
they just don't get how it comes across.
Yeah.
And you're a performer.
well, and that's the thing is that they there's also like this trope that little people can't be professional, like, or hold themselves like accountable when they're on set, and then there's like the whole other stereotype about like, God forbid you get more than one little person, you get 3, like they start, you know, multiplying like rabbits.
It's giving like
then
it's giving
then they just
Gremlins.
CGI.
Yeah.
Then they just CGI it like.
That's a whole. That's a
Yeah.
whole.
Or they hire the little people and then CGI the
face,
A-list
yeah.
actors on their face, which is a huge,
They do that
huge
stuff.
problem.
Yeah.
And then
They
the
just did it
argument
in
is
the
always,
Willy Wonka movie with
Yeah.
The Willy Wonka.
what's his name?
Right. Oh, I know what you're talking
The
about.
British guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Timothy Chalamet.
No. But Timmy Chalamet was
Oh my
Wonka.
God, the
but
one in
I
Notting
know.
Hill. What's his name?
Yeah.
Oh, Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. Yeah.
Hugh Grant's was the Oompa
He
Loompa?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Okay.
Oompa Loompa in that, and so they superimposed
They
his
superimposed his face
Yeah.
on Oompa Loompa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to pay those bills. I'm like,
Yeah.
of all, I'm just like,
But it's a huge conversation because, like, what happened with the Snow White movie, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then they just completely
You know what?
excommunicated
Let's talk about
it,
this.
right?
Yeah.
I have a lot to say about that, but
So the whole situation, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that little people were going to be used, and then there was complaints about that. So then they went to CGI.
But
then
wasn't the main complaint was
like
that one actor? What was his name? He's in
Peter Dinklage.
Dinklage.
Yeah.
Made a comment just about, for him, he wants to see
he said
stronger roles for
Right.
people with dwarfism.
he said
right?
he was approached by Disney, obviously, is what he was kind of like shading in his comment, to be a part of the movie. Probably, I'm sure he gets a million of these offers a week, and so he's got to read all these like crap scripts and see which one, like,
Right.
is this character any good? Like, what can I bring to this? And it's obviously given to him because he has dwarfism. So I
And he's the
understand.
most famous.
Yeah. Age-old story. I get it. But his argument was that, like, why is the thinking of this corporation always like diversity, inclusivity, this, that, and then what you're actually producing with millions of dollars is the same old tale that has carried on all these tropes. I understand where he's coming from. The backlash that still follows him, because what he said is so ridiculous. Because the truth is like, it's on the corporation to change what they're going to make. He doesn't have the power to change and diversify that story. You know what I'm saying? And if he wanted to, he could have said yes and gone through and probably helped them rewrite or whatever. But the truth is that they're trying to appease an audience that they don't believe is ready for progression in how we view little people in media, because they don't want to bank all this money on little people who are not
Already
as famous
yeah.
and they don't like. And another argument I've heard before is like, oh, well, like how can we give them like accent training, and how can we give them stunt training? And I'm like, don't you do that for like every actor?
Yeah.
And you get stunt doubles, and you get like,
And you've been a stunt person.
A lot of
for little people. I've had my own stunt doubles that were little people, you know? And so I'm like, it's really crazy what they've done, and that they tried to blame him for saying that he's the reason they took all the little people out.
Yeah, that's what
That
they
is
did.
not
They did say
even
that.
remotely true. That's not even remotely true. It's a way to attack
They were
him.
trying to say that he's gatekeeping the roles
Yeah.
from other little people.
And the
It's
movie
Disney
went out and pleased nobody.
gatekeeping the
That part.
roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part.
It's like,
They're not
it's
even
really
letting
that
me-
part. Yeah.
Disney paying someone to write the role out, and
Right.
it's like, you know, but it did suck. Like, I did know some little people who were like, they had to get visas, and they had to figure out all this like housing for their kids and all this stuff where they were going to go shoot in Wales, like a whole crazy thing. And it just, when he came out with that, it went overnight. They just turned the dial back and said, we're not going to do any of that.
So, Katrina, answer me this. You also did like a lot of red carpet interviews. You did a lot of videos for YouTube, and you were doing this, like I said, since you were in high school. Did you ever feel that there were any limitations on you because of your height? Did you ever feel that, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be in front of the camera, or maybe there's no future for me in entertainment?
I think I did until I was like 15 or something. I wasn't like fully like sold, but then it was kind of like everywhere I went, I was getting opportunities in that area, and I would be comfortable like as they were happening. So I was just like, I watched this movie. It's called Unconditional Love. I love this movie, and it's got Kathy Bates in it. And my favorite actor with dwarfism, her name's Meredith Eaton, and she plays this like badass role in the movie where she's just like a mom and this daughter-in-law, and she's like trying to figure out how this murder happened, and she's wearing like a red trench coat, and I was like 13,
high heels and
and a beret, and I was like, and it was the first time I saw somebody with the same type of dwarfism as me, like successfully holding her own in this type of like movie setting and using her like dwarfism to her advantage, like to get out of like a shitty situation, and then like flipping it on its head and being like, how dare you point it out? Like, it was just so like, it was the first time I really could see the comedy in it all. And instead of so like serious and depressing and, oh my God, you must want to kill yourself because you're short, like kind of attitude I had growing up from strangers. And so she really inspired me when I was like 13. And after that, I was like, I can just try this. And, I got more comfortable with it after that. I more so would enter a situation and be like, how can you guys help me so I'm not limited here? How can we talk about the limits that are happening? And that's even with like cameras like being shot from my angle, rather like my POV, rather than like always that like looking down like scary shot that they would always do for people when I was for little
like
people when I was growing up,
Yeah.
And so that was like really like,
you've always had a strong sense of self and direction, though.
And coming at that age, like around 15, I mean, we're all going through puberty and like not feeling that. And for you to have like, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Strong
And
sense of direction and self.
Mm-hmm.
We always like talk about things in our childhood, and we were just talking about a story because, we have known each other for a very long time. And so even before we were a couple, we've had a lot of, interactions and learning about just how the world perceives us as friends versus a couple, and just the stupid shit people say. But we have such a good sense of humor because just independently doing what we do, we're looked at, but then in the norm, right? So for something like you'll be at like a Home Depot and somebody be like, bless you, you know what I mean? And you're
Jesus
just like,
loves you.
Yeah, you'll be
You're gonna
not
be
made
healed.
in God's image, but that's okay. So
What?
like, bless
Yes.
oh,
That's
yeah.
insane.
And so she was telling me a story of this, and her
You're
mom,
not made
her
in
mom
God's-
was
they
like,
said that?
her mom was like, stop gassing her up. She doesn't need more
She'd be like,
confidence.
she has enough confidence. I would be like 6 years old, and oh my
People
God.
are so weird what they just blurt out and say.
You're
Oh my God.
I think that's ridiculous.
And it's just
Well, she warned me when we were spending a lot of time together as friends. She's like, so this is what you do if somebody picks me up and walks away with me. And I'm like, I was just like, what do you
my
mean?
God.
And I never thought about that. I was like,
we had like
you're
a
gonna
get
debrief.
kidnapped?
Yeah,
We
they
went
said, like,
to
you're saying
Vegas.
kidnapping?
The
We went
debrief.
to Vegas and we had like a debrief before the like night out. Because I
I
was
was
like,
the DD, and her and my sister had a time. And
We're the drunk
And she
drivers.
debriefed me. She debriefed me, and I had a huge crush on her. I was in a relationship, but I've always had a huge crush on her. And we went out, and she goes, okay, we're going to the handicap section. So we get this VIP privilege, like up front.
They just make it up. I was like, well, legally you have to give me.
So we're right
the
front and
ability
center.
to
Little
see.
John's on stage, picks her up, puts her on stage. She's spraying champagne. I was just like, you know what? I think she's having a good time. This was just before my debrief. I was like, I think she's fine. And then afterwards, and then everybody's like, she's the star on stage. So then all these people are like wanting to come talk to her after the show. And then she's wasted. And this woman picks her up and she's over her shoulder and she's looking at me and she goes, "It's okay."
And she's like carrying me
She's
away.
like, "It's okay. I like it." And this like jealousy came over me. And I was like, what is this? And then I was like, where's she going? I'm worried, but I'm also like, what is this feeling? And then she's far away. And then the lady just puts her on the bar and she's wasted on a bar that's like this high. And I'm like, okay, she's going to like Humpty Dumpty her ass off this bar.
Oh, no.
I'm like having this panic. And my sister, who knows where my sister is? And then she starts making out with these like Asian girls, 2 Asian girls. And I was like, get it, Katrina. But damn, it really made me like face myself.
That
And I
sounds like it was a good
hell
night.
yeah. She was having a great
On the
time.
record.
And then first time I ever had to pick her up. And then she looks at me and she goes, okay.
Because I was like,
Put me
well,
down.
cock blocked me then. I was like,
And she's
Well,
like,
here you all.
and I'm like picking her up and I'm like, I can't believe I'm holding my friend and putting her down. But anyways, it was like this whole thing. And I learned, then I had like this anxiety for a long time after that someone's just going to like football take her away. And I'm just like, oh my God, Katrina. But yeah, but we've had other encounters since then.
we've had other encounters. Yeah. And it's like
Mhm.
somebody going into pet like
Oh
a
God.
large
This
dog.
is very invasive, I feel like.
And it's like, oh, and they want to like stroke like down the hair and you get her in there, girl.
You're in a headlock. You're pinned to the ground. I was like, we're getting kicked out. I'm getting arrested. I was like, she touched you first. It was fair game. And I just like have like tackled this woman down. And she's like, why are you touching me? And I'm like, why are you touching my
you
woman?
with your 6-inch
Yeah.
heels, like
Yeah. So I think I'm bigger than I am too, though.
Oh my God. We always joke because in my mind, I call her my stallionette. She is like an Amazon to me. And I'll show her like there'll
See how
be
they
like
laugh?
a
'Cause
cartoon.
I'm not that tall.
There'll be like a cartoon and it's like what it's like
Well, like Roger
do you ever
Rabbit.
see like Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah.
Okay, and
Love
you know how
Powerpuff
it's like the mayor and then the secretary is like, and it's just like she's from like the thighs down. And
Right,
she's like,
yeah, right.
okay, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
that's how I view Tosh in my mind. And then, it's just so funny to me. And in our daily life, she's actually quite tiny.
Wow, we're getting a
There you
scoop
go.
on the dynamic
We're getting
here.
the scoop. We're getting the scoop.
You heard it here first.
All right, let's talk about burlesque. So when I've come to see your shows,
burlesque.
they're always sold out. But what really surprises me is the variety of people that were on the audience: gay, straight, old, young,
Yeah.
different ethnicities. What is the allure of burlesque still to this day, and how have you made it modern for beauty of burlesque?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that the revival has always been like, I think, held by the LGBTQ community, right? And women, I think, is on the body positivity movement has really embraced burlesque. But I think with my show in particular, like I want my event to feel like a party. And the cast
does.
is going to be like 99% queer, right? And so it's going to, and then the way that the show is structured is less formal in the sense that, you know, we do have like act 1, act 2 intermission, which is a formal structure, but like the way that we break the fourth wall is less formal. I think burlesque shows have been more traditionally like spectacle, like, oh, you see this beautiful person after this beautiful person, and then it's like boobies,
Yeah.
Like
then
an
you start-
idolizing kind of.
and then you start idolizing,
Copy, paste, yeah.
and then you start comparing boobies because you're seeing the same reveal again and again. So it can be like a repetitive narrative. And so I think what attracts our audience is that it's we're casting with diversity in mind when it comes to body, race, identity, of course, but also skill set. So every performer is a star within the show because each performer's skill is so phenomenal. Like, granted, I'm currently the headliner, but the show itself is like stacked with headliners. Like, you have Candace Kane, who's a headliner in her own right and a star in her own right, who has skills far beyond most people and human beings, you know? And so you have like splits and sparklers and these things. So it's a show that there is something for everyone. And I love that the host and the community always comes knowing that they're going to be dancing together, getting up, having a performer in the audience. Steven goes into the audience a lot. And so it's a party. And so it's not as much of we're going to sit at the ballet and watch the prima ballerina and then clap and leave. Like, it is like everybody's show. So that's something I feel strongly about, that it's less about perfection and more about celebration.
And there's a lot of sexiness to it, but it's funny because it's you get so wrapped up in the show aspect of it that you're like, oh yeah, there's boobs and balls hanging out and, and all that.
Something for everybody, right? Something for everybody. It'll be there.
But the sexuality really, it becomes not lessened, but it's not like, oh, sex. It's just part of the environment. It's a celebration.
And I think that's the thing about burlesque is that, like, you know, it's not vulgar. It's like you'll have someone that'll be almost like fully naked or they're stripping down.
It's satire, right?
Yeah.
And
it's stylized and
stylized
too at the same time.
Yeah, and
exactly.
and the attention to detail, like the costumes and the lighting and the choreography is always going to be top notch, right? And so, like, for people that love fashion are there for that.
Right.
They're there. But the people that aren't expecting the satire, the comedy, the humor, which is such like a historically important element of burlesque.
To the burlesque,
Right.
Yeah.
Especially like the jokes that were told like way back in the day that you couldn't tell, like raunchy jokes.
Yeah.
And so you did like Sophie Tucker it and kind of like make it smart humor.
And you want to push the boundary. And that's the point of this art form, is that it was never high class. It was always working class.
Yes.
And it was the working class making a commentary on the upper class.
On the elite. Yeah.
And the style and all of these things. And then taking the things that are exclusive for the elite, like the glamour, but taking it
and
for
parodying
themselves
it in ways. Yeah.
Like we have one performance that I really love that it could just be Tosh going out there and, you know, stripping down and then doing like her number, but we preface it with basically we come out and Tosh just reads the audience about like why they're not wearing pink.
It's definitely a read. It's
like,
definitely
it's
a
just
read.
Like, you know, and then we have this like sort of like funny banter, I guess, with the audience where we're just sort of like, why aren't you wearing pink? Why aren't you wearing pink? We do this like cute choreography and then it goes into the burlesque.
Yeah. And that whole number is an homage to Think Pink and that famous kind of Technicolor number, but making it for like the queer community and like changing the words and
right.
making it a read, right? You know, and then it going into the burlesque moment of it. But then, you know, I have a carousel that I put on, a carousel horse I put on a stripper pole in like 2012 or 2011, a long time ago. And I did this in a basement bar in Chicago. And it's become so popular. People have booked me to do it. Performers have licensed it for me, you know, artists, these things. And so this is like a special act of mine. But then every time I do it, I've been doing it for so long that I'm like, what is this really saying? And I think it's the duality of like the way people felt about strippers in the strip club, because I was a stripper in the strip club when I created this act. And it was like not cool to be a stripper. Like I couldn't tell anybody. I would be shamed. Like I was full nude, pussy out, strip club, like paying my college tuition, you know?
Get it.
And
yeah.
so
and
you
came out. And
but
she was the first, like,
and I was
out
I was
very outspokenly out lesbian burlesque performer
And
at
it was
this
and it was
and
shamed,
this, like
shamed.
Well,
And that's what I was gonna ask.
yeah,
because
point
you've
of
spoken to
underground
me about this.
artistry. Yeah.
Yeah, Tosh has spoken to me
Yeah.
about this before because you have you have your management company.
Yeah.
And so people stopped taking you seriously a little bit when you came out because they were like, oh, she's just doing it as a gimmick.
Oh my God. Yeah. Even relatives.
Yeah.
That was
On
wild.
Facebook.
And,
And she witnessed that as a friend. It was very like pre-Instagram time. It was like pre-social media. It was like
Yeah.
right on the cusp of all of it. And
Instagram just about to pop off.
And I really wanted, I think it was like the first maybe Drag Race had, I don't even know if Drag Race had started yet, but we're like at the cusp of everything we know now. Yeah. And so it was
at its height. It was like season 3
something, but it was just very like this whole community was just at like the beginning stages, right?
Yeah.
And so
this era.
when I did this, it was so controversial for people to hear a lesbian, one, wanting to do burlesque, which was so assumed for the male gaze, two, looking the way I did was like, you can't possibly be
gay.
gay.
Yeah. You're too
Passable.
this, you're too that,
Passable.
you're too femme,
And-
you're too,
Yeah, and it would just really rock people's
And,
worlds.
and the
Yeah.
irony of it too, because like you
Yeah.
do Marilyn Monroe, and the
Yeah.
rumor is that she was bisexual.
Yes.
Burlesque has always been fluid. It's been so fluid.
Well,
Where
burlesque
Yeah.
performers have been
Marlene
lesbian,
Dietrich, like-
Marlene Dietrich.
Yeah.
You have Camille That like there's so
and
many.
this was
performers.
what originally drew me to meeting Tosh, actually through our mutual friend Detox, the drag queen.
we
Yeah,
know
Detox made our
I've known
connection.
Detox for very.
Yeah.
I've picked her
Yeah.
off my carpet many times.
Yeah, she made our connection. Our
She
love
was in
connection.
vaudeville in the 1920s. She's been around for a long time.
Love her to
Well,
death.
she always says that she's the only competition she has is Tupperware.
Yeah. Wow. Both plastics.
I love it.
Looking for a top. Okay, I'm done.
Wow, that's good.
That was good. But yeah, you know. But
so I was
yeah.
like so drawn to her because how she was modernizing burlesque, because I was already a huge fan of burlesque out here in LA, and she was still in Chicago at that time. But I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so much subtext here in these acts, and there's like a way that this isn't for the male gaze. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like saying something new, and I just got it right away.
It's
and
always
it
from
was
a strong lesbian point of view. Always the acts.
Yeah.
And all of your acts tell a story, by the way.
Always.
Too.
Yes.
It's not about.
It has-
It's not about the reveal.
It resonates
It's
with a
about
lot
the
of
why
women.
is the top coming off?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah, and you know, for example, the act that Steven was talking about, we all turn it into like a go-go club at the end,
Yeah.
and the whole, and so yeah, see, you gotta come see,
It's
you gotta
good.
come see Steven in his pink song.
Steven's so good in the show.
rave reviews.
Yeah, but you know, it's
A lot of pink on that stage.
the original burlesque number was really, the burlesque shows were originally starring the comedians.
Yeah.
And the stripper was just a moment, and they would build what is now called the catwalk, and that's fashion knocked it off and brought it into fashion. But the catwalk was originally made for the stripper to get close to the audience, and then she was seen periodically through these comedy skits once in a while. And so it really, burlesque has now, the word burlesque now means burlesque stripper. So you don't see a lot of burlesque stand up or a lot of burlesque comedy skits.
But some
But
of the
that's
famous
what
comedians
we're
club
trying
from
to
that.
say. Well, that's sort of what the
That's
host
what-
sort of
yeah,
takes on. Because
exactly.
usually know, I mean, at least with the shows that I've done, and then now
Yes.
with yours, like we have a drag queen as a host, and there's sort of the comedic relief in between.
Exactly.
And what I love, even the straight audiences, because, you know, I always look at the straight couples when there's a gay joke or something, and this is when I saw the Valentine's show as well, is, you know, straight couples, they didn't like, oh, it's a gay joke. Everybody was just laughing.
Yeah.
And there
It's
was
very
no
inclusive.
resistance. There was no tension.
We've come a long way.
Yeah.
Because there was initially a
Backlash.
lot of backlash.
Yeah.
And I've never watered down to please the hetero gays.
And let's face it, everybody. Yeah.
Never. And I'm like, I will pay the bill to put my show on this stage. You know?
Yeah.
But I think society's come a long way with coming to terms with our own fluidity. How many actresses are coming out as bisexual almost every single week?
Truly.
They're married and have kids, and they're like,
Yes.
oh, bisexual. We're all a little fluid on some level.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to realize that and not be threatened by it. If you feel fluid and I don't, I don't think people feel threatened.
People are
by
finding
that.
more joy in it,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
especially when they're going to shows, you know, and they're also learning because of these popular TV shows, say like a Drag Race.
Yeah.
Like the straight community feels in on the jokes now.
Yeah.
They know the language.
Yeah.
Right.
They know the
right.
tea.
And every wife has that gay best friend that they go shopping with.
Yeah, they
And
know
plus-
it.
And I
Yeah.
think for straight couples too,
And gays just have more fun.
We have
Yeah.
more fun.
Way
you
more
look better
Period.
doing it too.
Like we've been through hell and back.
Yes.
Like we
Right.
should
And
have
we're
some
still
fun
going
while
through
we're
it.
still,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like
But I think it also excites couples. So when they go home that night, they're like frisky. They're a little horned up,
they're
and they're like,
good.
"Let's try something new."
Yeah, he's gonna
Yeah.
throw a dress on, and she's gonna put her strap
Yeah.
on.
exactly.
Somebody's like,
I need a
"Head
pour
tight."
drinks for
That's
that.
the goal. That's the goal of our show. No, just kidding.
Right? Specifically that.
You specifically.
But burlesque has really been responsible for so many things. It changed musical theater, by the
did.
way.
Yes.
Because we were having, like you said, like the scenes and the skits and the musical numbers, and so that changed how
The chorus
people,
girls.
100%.
Yes. Yes.
It changed comedy.
Yes.
Like I said, a lot of comedians came through that. And it also is a source of female empowerment.
Yes.
Because you think, oh, a woman is stripping for the man, but the woman is in control of what she shows, how much she shows, and when she does it. And the man is there like a little puppy dog. So the
Voyeur.
control
Yeah.
is there. And so female empowerment is totally part
And
of
it
this.
was
It's always like a
also-
tease. It's like you're teasing the audience.
But the
You're
woman
just
is
like,
always in control.
And
Yeah.
then my favorite story about like the invention of pasties, I wish I knew which performer it was, but it was, the lore of it, because most of this is a spoken history, right?
Right.
And so the lore of it is that the women were like, I'm going to take as much off. It was very punk rock. They're like, I'm going to take what I want off. And so they kept getting arrested. A lot of the original burlesque performers were constantly arrested.
Like a decent exposure kind of thing.
Yes,
Always.
Which is why they
And
had
they
to
were
put the
making
scenes in
yeah.
too, because they had to make it a theater experience so that it
That-
wasn't
and they were
a peep show.
they were making good money and
So they had to
independent
spit on
from
their
a man.
bail.
Yeah, and
Because
so
at this
Basically.
time,
Yeah.
women you could not rent a house. You
Right.
could not have
you couldn't do anything without a man.
your own
period.
accounts.
Man.
You
Yep.
couldn't
Yeah.
have like all
And
these
so
things. And so they
these-
were the first like
these
career in
independent-
showbiz,
Yeah.
female wise, that
And so
could
to piss
travel
off the police, they made little merkins, right? So they would glue a piece of fur
Mhm.
onto their panty and then make the pasties sparkly and look like nipples.
Yeah.
Very punk, right? And so it would give the illusion of nudity. And they're like, well, I'm not naked. And then it would draw more attention
Right.
to
And Kim
Different
Kardashian's doing it,
things.
and
Yeah.
with her little Skims
Yeah,
underwear.
exactly.
And her thing
Right.
is like
But
yeah,
then
it's
Rich
really
has
impacted
Rich has
that.
one with
The
nipples
nipples
in
and the
it.
nipple ring. Yeah, exactly.
and Tosh would always like dress up like this and be like in her like full geesh and everything. And to me and a million other people, like that was very punk rock. And it's still like just kind of getting its flowers, but it's
Well,
she-
it's disruptive.
you would
intentionally,
see her
right?
in like
Yeah.
Mhm.
just an underground bar with all these freaking artists and change makers and culture makers, and everyone's like grungy and punked out, and Tosh is right in the middle of them, and it's very much her art style is in there too because of what she does. Like
Mhm.
Well, even like in rockabilly type gangs, you have
Yeah.
like gang people, but they're pinup girls, and they're like to a T.
Yeah.
And there's a sense of fashion and style.
And
Yeah.
then even in Japan
Yes,
and all of
yes.
it. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a very committed aesthetic. And that community specifically, like the pinup community, has also still ways to go, but that community is so rooted in traditional values, a lot of it. And so I would go to these like conventions that I thought, oh, these are my people. We're going to be like,
Yeah.
because we like the
Like they
same
get me.
aesthetic.
Yeah.
We like the same outfits. And I was like, I am so the only queer person here. And I am
So
so not welcome.
yeah,
Right.
and they would be
And-
like, take your rainbow flag down.
Yeah,
and-
it was very like that. I think also that community has come a long way, but originally the interest for people dressing vintage was because they really wanted to go back to a time that was vintage.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe that because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I just want the hair and I
Yeah.
want that
The
outfit.
glam,
And they're like, no,
Yeah.
that's right.
performance.
That you
Yeah.
were like reclaiming it.
Right.
Yeah, and then
as
I
a
learned,
choice.
and then I
Yes,
learned
yes.
so much about the queer history of a lot of the bombshells, which all the bombshells were casted to play showgirls.
Yeah.
And people think Marilyn Monroe was a showgirl. She was never a showgirl, but she played
This
the
fantasy.
played it really
famous
well.
showgirl.
And
you know?
Beyonce,
Yeah.
she will always play the showgirl.
Yeah, it's
you know?
always the showgirl is such something that is so American that everybody role plays, but rarely does the showgirl get the credit,
I would
right?
say that, yeah.
of being the
Yeah.
changer.
Yeah. And there's just such a history there that is so significantly American, which is so cool. I think about it. Yeah.
So I want to ask how the burlesque culture differs internationally, because you literally have been around the globe.
Right.
How is it so different than the U.S. culture?
It is different. So you think London around the same time as, there's a fight with historians of who really started, but I think two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
There were, a troupe of dancers in England that became really famous for being scandalous for wearing tights, right? And so that was their version. You think the Windmill and that area in Piccadilly, and I have deep English roots on my mother's side. My grandmother's from England. So I feel torn between my European family and my American family. But I think performing and working in America versus Europe and the UK is the performers in America are more focused on fame than skill.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And in the UK, they could care less about fame. They just want to be the best at their skill,
And they're working
much harder.
their asses to the bone.
I have never been in a show where somebody's swallowing a fire chandelier and that person's unclipping it, hopping on a bicycle, going to another show, doing the same thing and coming back
Before
curtain
the
call.
finale and yeah.
and then going back for that curtain call.
Wow.
But that also
and doing like
but,
3 gigs in a night like that.
but also the geography and the public
It's different,
transportation
yeah.
Right,
makes for
it's so
it.
much
Yeah.
better.
But
Good
it's-
luck
it's-
doing that in downtown
But then
here.
working with those people, they were so uninterested in their social media presence and so committed to, like, if you told that performer they couldn't go on stage, they were like going to have a fit.
Yeah.
And here we'd be like, but I'm still getting paid.
And over there,
That's
you're
the
like,
difference.
sorry, you
That's
can
the
have
difference.
it.
Yeah.
That's
That's
my
the
number.
difference.
Right.
And so that person's like, fuck the money. Like, I need my time on stage because
Yeah.
this is my
Life.
moment for my craft that I've worked so hard for. So there's a different work ethic, and there's a larger audience, I think, that go regularly to burlesque shows. I think America is
I feel
still
like they don't realize that burlesque is as active that it
No,
is.
I
is,
think
yeah.
they associate it with something like taboo
Right.
more so here. And they think like, because I can't tell you how many nights, even when we have another show, Kiss Kiss Cabaret at Black Rabbit Rose, and I'll MC that show. And one of my first questions is, who's never been to a burlesque show before? And it's like 75%
it's usually the
of
majority.
room.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
And I'm like, wow. And then you ask them, like, what do you think, like, it's all about? And
Yeah.
their answers are just so wild. And they saw it in a movie, they read it in a thing.
But you think also-
they were trying to have a romantic night and were, expecting this, that, and it'd be really horned up and like.
yeah.
So, and other people are like, I literally have no idea. And so it's
Do
an
you-
interesting part of American history.
Do you think it's a
Yeah.
hard category to, like, it's hard to designate it in a category? Like, 'cause I remember when we were doing the shows that we did a couple years
Yeah.
ago, they didn't really promote it as a burlesque show. People were confused when they got there. And they were,
I thought that was interesting.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like that was to their detriment.
Yeah.
I think people need to know where they're going.
Right, exactly.
That's what I thought. It was like, let's dumb it down. It's like, no,
Yeah.
let's build it up. and Let's get
Exactly.
a skill.
I think
It's
that's
a skill
Exactly.
I think
thing.
that's rooted in a bit of like because ultimately when you're in business you want to sell tickets, right? So marketing, also in social media, for a long time the word burlesque has been banned.
Yeah.
So it's hard to
Why
pay
is
for.
that?
And then women's bodies
They
are
don't-
also banned on social media.
So, for example, you pay for an advertisement through the Meta, whatever. If you have burlesque in the title. And I saw this for a long time with Beauty of Burlesque. And I was like, do I change the name of my show? And I'm like, hell no. But it's hard to they censor that kind of thing. Why? I don't know.
They shadow ban it.
Yeah.
They shadow ban it.
Because they associate it with pornography.
Well, and let's be honest, burlesque has been bastardized in many times. I've gone to see burlesque shows and I'm like, that's not a burlesque show. That's literally somebody just taking their clothes off and lip syncing to a song. I'm like, that's not what burlesque is. Even like when they have like Boys of Burlesque, those shows are definitely not burlesque. It's just like, look at my junk.
It's a hard thing to like go from, say, like a Magic Mike, which is awesome in its own respect.
But stripping.
Yes.
But it's a hard place, like you said, to put it, and it's a fine line. And I think, what would that be, a burlesque show? And so, what makes it a burlesque show, right? And I think the element of spectacle and tease, but then it's like, does it come from the movement? Does it come from the era of the costumes? Does it come from the music?
The intention.
But like, I try to challenge that too in my show. We put a lot of modern music in it. It's not all like, feeling like you're in a bygone era, but I think the things that lean to that are the costumes, the hair, and the glamour,
we have Katrina as a labubu in one of our numbers.
And that's such a part of it.
But that's a contemporary satire commentary.
It's like
that's what burlesque did at the beginning.
Where burlesque
it's appropriate to
the commentary of like this obsession over the labubu and the 24 karat gold. I love memes.
We love meme
which
culture.
is such a modern thing. And I'm sure if we went to a burlesque show in 1920, there would be something to that effect.
Equivalent.
Yeah.
And
the inside joke of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And they'd be making jokes about the government, the economy,
exactly.
everything.
Yes.
And Little People always lended such a like hand to what creatively was happening as satire, sideshow, and moving the narration like forward. And so I like to reclaim that by like also like fucking with the audience, showing them something funny, having them see a person with dwarfism doing things with their body they wouldn't normally see, and messing with like size and skill and magic and just all that kind of stuff.
Our Wicked act, right? With having
and we love storytelling together, and one of those things.
When we build a show, we build all of the acts together at our dining room table. We build it out. We
edit them.
We edit all the music. We create all of the visuals, the lighting, everything.
The labubus.
We're making the costumes.
We make all the costumes, the props.
We are a 2-woman show.
Answer all the phone calls, deal with all the tech, build all the props.
Look at the talent.
We
and
feel
all that.
you. We understand.
So let me ask this. So you are married. What's it like to maintain a healthy relationship while you're also in the creative process? Because when you have two creatives, I don't care how much you love each other, creatives, boom,
cooks in the kitchen.
We do. But we have been friends for over a decade.
When did it turn romantic? Was it like a drunken night?
We'll tell you.
Okay.
I wish.
Did you pick her up and take her away?
I said, you're mine.
No, actually, it's so funny. When it actually changed, we both made a pact randomly that we went on a trip, and we were like, let's
pact.
We were like, let's just no alcohol. Like we were just
I don't drink often, but
no, and I don't
maybe it was
either.
A pact for her. For me, I was like, this is just how I am.
But we were like,
as I pour another.
No, because we had a lot of events to attend, and we were like, let's just. We were dehydrated already when we got there. We're like, let's chill.
Let me see how we met, though. Right? So okay. She's getting
I'm tipsy.
She's getting to the tip series. She's like, I'm
You're a cheap date, girl.
I call her my $34 date. Yeah, literally. It's always under $40. Yeah, it's always under $40. Inflation, it's gone a little bit over. Yeah,
my $40 date.
I love that though.
Yeah,
your height, right?
Yeah, 3'4". Oh, yeah, there you go.
36.
Oh, I was close.
$46 date now. $36.
$36 date.
It can only be $36. But anyways, so we So we met through our friend Detox, and then she and we've been flirting online. That I
had
thought.
no idea that you guys knew Detox.
Oh, yeah.
I've
What a
Because
small world.
I lived in
What a small
Chicago, so
world.
Detox was mama, right?
I used
to
to hang out with
everybody.
her every day.
I was
Yeah.
in a Rihanna music video with her before I was even 21.
Detox gets around, knows everybody.
Yeah.
She
Yes.
does. She does.
And she's such a sweetie.
Oh yeah,
but,
she's the best.
But so I thought we were going. We were talking on Facebook. I lived in Chicago at the time, and then I was in town, and she's like, "Come to this cool John Waters event."
It was a
And-
John Waters burlesque show
Yeah, and I was like,
perfect.
"Hell yeah!"
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Vinegar.
I thought it was a date. I'm going
At the
solo.
Dragonfly.
No, nobody. I don't know anybody, right? And I go up there, and it's her ex-girlfriend's birthday party, and I'm like, "Oh,
she
this
and I were
is,"
still friends.
and I'm like, "This is not a date." If she's inviting me to her ex-girlfriend. At first I was like, she's inviting me to kind of like,
I thought
Set it
never
to-
in a million years, like,
no.
she
At the end of
would
the night,
ever
she goes,
see
"Okay,
me
that
that
was
way.
nice, bye."
In my mind, she was like so smart and like so ahead of her time. I
And
was
what
like,
are
if
you?
you're, I was like, if you're
So is
ever
she.
in LA,
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
right.
I was like, if you're ever in LA, like, please come visit. And then
She
she
has this
visited.
problem though. Like, and I've seen it with other people that have pursued you and you've pursued that like you like go you're such a tease. You're worse than me. Like I do it professionally. You do it lifestyle. And I'm
Oh my God, I love that.
She's like,
girl,
I'm a lifestyle.
yeah,
artist.
I'm like,
Here's my card.
yeah. And so then, I was going on a trip for work. I was doing the Mrs. Maisel, right? And so she had told me before the trip, finally texted me, was like, I have a crush on you. And I was like,
I've always had a crush on you. Yeah.
always. And I'm like, I call my sister. I'm like, oh my God, Jen. And she's like, finally, you guys figured this out. It's only taken 10
And this
years.
was 10
What
years.
inspired you to finally
God.
send
Yes.
that text?
Yeah, what was that? What was that?
Honestly, you
There
know
must
what
have
it
been
was?
wine.
Yeah. Was it the
You know what
wine?
it was?
the wine?
It was $36.
I moved.
$36.
I
$36 wine.
moved after COVID. I moved to my own place, like no roommates. I had spent a lot of time on tour, and I was like, now it was after COVID, and I was like, oh my God, I need to see what it's like living by myself, and like focused on how to figure out things like independently outside of like, oh my God, what am I gonna do if I can't do this or that or whatever? And I was like, I'm not gonna like meet somebody unless I like know who I am. Like I'm not gonna meet the right person because I'm not gonna be like in a healthy place to explain to them, like be there for them.
Yeah, so you need to know yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I need somewhere to like bring a hottie back, like after a date or like, something. I never like had that experience, and I was spending a lot of time during COVID with like all like hunky, able-bodied gay dudes. That's the majority
That
of
was not my COVID.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
my life.
Give me numbers and names.
And I looked around and it was
mental
like
breakdown.
12 super like hunky dudes, and that I was only comfortable being around. And I was like, I am not in touch with my feminine side at all anymore. Like I am just broing the fuck out for like.
Well, they're gay guys. I don't know how much
years.
bro there was.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
They're
Bro.
broing the fuck out.
We were broing.
$36. Are you kidding?
We were broing.
Yeah.
And I
She
was
was
like,
broing.
Yeah,
I
you
was,
were broing.
I was the bro.
She's the bro of the
She's the
house.
bro.
Yeah,
You're
sure,
probably,
yeah.
you're probably the
I am
bros
the
one of them
bro.
all. They're just sort
And
of like,
so
They're like,
then
"This is gay."
I was
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know what? Tosh had never given up on our friendship during all my time where I like was
Discovery.
just was
Oh,
like
she ghosted me for years.
ghosting. I
Yeah.
ghosted
Katrina,
everyone. I ghosted
for
everyone.
years.
They're like 3
I ghosted
years.
everyone.
Why?
And I was like,
I was like, I hope we're still
I-
friends. Where are
I
you?
had
Are you?
no one to, I had
Does someone pick you up and take you away?
Absolutely. I know.
mental anguish from COVID.
It was
Horrible
a lot of
anxiety.
mental.
But how did that manifest into you ghosting people?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't want to hang out with somebody and give them COVID and this and that and blah, blah, blah. I was
Oh my
like,
God.
girl.
So
And
what was the moment that moment
changed
that you
that.
texted?
Because I was like, she was always like,
Persistent.
and will you come over? And will you come hang out? And will you? And I was like, I need some like feminine energy back in my life. I need my girl back. Like,
Aw.
what am I going through? And the second we started hanging out, it just invigorated all of these
It clicked.
feelings again. And I was like, oh, like.
You realized the truth.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to tell her because like life is so short. I was like, I had the safety at that point that I was
With a
like,
decade
she's
of
still gonna
friendship,
be
yeah.
friends with me if she doesn't like me back.
Yeah,
And I
think after
had
10
never
years,
experienced that.
Yeah.
Like telling someone how I felt and then them being like, let me down, but then still be friends. And so I was expecting if that happened, okay, whatever. But then she was like,
Oh my gosh.
calling me, and girl, I'm such like a talk on the phone girly, and she
So
was
it's-
willing
so-
to chat on the phone for like 3-4 hours. Girl, when I moved to China, I knew I was putting a ring on it because we were FaceTiming all day.
Oh, yeah,
and
And then all of us.
she came to China to visit me. I was like, oh my God, like this is the one, like for me. And
and Steven was there when you
Well, I was
proposed.
gonna say, like, you know, then and actually Alexander was there.
Yeah,
I was in the
Alexander
audience.
All of us was there. Like,
On
was there.
stage?
Was there? You're like,
maybe
you're
I'm
fluttered.
drunk. All of us were there. That led to that moment where you came on stage during one of our shows a couple of years ago. Katrina came on stage and proposed to Tosh.
Did you have any idea
No, actually.
at all?
And I don't think,
Actually,
and I don't think
because
none
I
of
was
us had any idea too
Well,
until towards the end.
because I was planning on proposing to her on stage. 'cause
she had
'cause she-
already my family wrapped up in a whole thing, and
With
I
Steven-
had no idea.
Well, because I was going to plan a whole
Yeah, because you
flash
told me.
mob.
She-
So we were
seriously,
all
she told
a
me-
little
she told-
confused.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You told me like a little something like, okay, listen, I just want you to know if you're available for this. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then this was happening. I was like, is this
Is the
part
moment?
of it?
Yeah, we
I was
all were like,
am
is
I
this the
supposed to, am I
moment?
supposed to do my active?
oh yeah, when that was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we all.
Oh my
The
God.
audience lost their shit, by the way. Everybody was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
people were like crying.
You telepathically
what a
tuned into
beautiful
what.
moment.
Yeah,
that
it was good.
Some people thought it was part of the show, by the way.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, she's going to be like dressed in white.
Because
and,
I
like,
was the
makeup
Marilyn
all
dress.
over.
Yeah, I remember.
And
It was very.
It was
apropos.
perfect.
It was
Yeah.
cute. It was
And on
perfect.
stage,
I just, something happened where I woke up that morning and I was like, it has to be today. Like, and if I don't
Very
do it
Katrina.
today,
It's very like
I
in
am
the
that
moment.
way.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm like-
Does
I'm
anyone-
like-
does anyone ever
I
call you
planned years
Hurricane
in
Katrina?
Oh, too many.
You know what she said
That
to
is
me?
actually my brand.
When we got married, she goes, so now you're Mrs. Hurricane.
All right, I'm just glad.
The hurricane.
It just texted me. I was like, oh, Hurricane
since,
Katrina,
like,
here she comes.
I was like, oh my God, a teenager. I've been called the Hurricane, and they would put it on the back of my like sweaters for
So
like
then
our
when there
club.
was
Katrina,
so then how did you feel when there was a hurricane?
Yeah, I
Katrina?
know.
You're like, did I manifest this?
You're
I
like,
know.
wow, I did destroy everything.
No, it's interesting.
Oh,
It's
no.
always one of those
not in
things
a
where
bad
you like,
way. Not in a bad way.
you hear your
like-
name and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like, because it's just not like a very common name. And then it just became so
Yeah.
common. And then I did a lot of work in New Orleans, and I would go there and people would be like, what's your name, sweetie? And I'm like, Katrina. And they're like, oh God.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Did you say cat in that sense
Yeah.
instead?
Yes.
see,
Queen.
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 The queen.
Yeah, that's
Queen-
right. That's that right.
Queen has been my nickname since I was 14 or 15.
the same.
But
I just love what a strong kid you were. Like when I was
Strong.
15,
I know,
I was a mess.
it's like 14 to 15 is like,
She's like,
seems
I'm
like
queen.
you just were really strong.
The
That's what I'm saying. Her mom was
original-
like,
Princess,
don't
by the way.
gas her
original
up.
Queen with a K on social media. And
See?
shout out
but
to
most
myself.
girls that age are like, I'm a princess. You're like, fuck that.
I'm the queen. I'm the queen. I run this shit.
Oh my God, I can't
See the
even tell
cufflinks?
you
Yeah,
the
see?
Oh yeah.
the drama in high school, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just have to be my own bitch.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Right.
and I just rode around school on my Razor scooter and between classes and was like, that's what the hell I'm doing. I don't know about all you, but at that point, then Kat became my like
Touring name.
touring
Yeah.
musical theater
Oh,
thing
yeah, well-
because it was easier for people to like latch onto, I think.
When
and they would
I
always
first
get
heard that, I was like, who's Cat? I was
and
like,
so
Cat.
yeah, whenever we would meet
Meow.
people, we
Meow.
travel
Like
like
kitty cat.
internationally,
Quite jarring.
and we'll run into
Yeah.
people, and they'll be like, "Oh, Cat," blah blah. Even J4, who was in the show the other day,
Right.
and he's like, "Cat, Cat, Cat," and I can see her like, "Who's this?" And like
Every time it's
he
like,
knows me
yeah.
from like a different world of that, and where it was always like Cat was always this like joke about my name, and then that just sort of passed on, and so I'm one of those like million nickname people.
And you've also had your foot in so many different genres, from circus, touring with Miley Cyrus, which that must have been insane.
It was
Actually insane.
It was actually insane. Something that it took me a while to process how that happened and like what happened after. It took me a while, and so I'm sure she's processing a lot. I can't even imagine. But it really changed my life for the better, because I was able to join the Screen Actors Guild after that gig, and really take acting like full serious
opened a huge
career lifestyle after that. And it gave me a lot of perspective of like how last minute so many of these big opportunities that people just are kind of like in Delulu land about, like, how did you get that role, or how did you get this? And it's like, you literally have to say yes at like 3:00 in the morning. Your life is like crashing and burning. You have no other option.
Like,
You need
like
to
that meme,
answer
"This
the
is okay."
phone call.
Yeah.
You need to get on the fucking FaceTime, and you need to pack your bag, and you have to
You have to
Go
show
now.
up.
Go
travel
now.
to a random building you've never been to, and 7 other car rides to get the correct paperwork, to get to Mexico, to get into the room. To,
Remember MapQuest?
Yeah.
like, it is no joke.
And we talk
And-
about this on the show all the time, because we have people that come to Hollywood like, I want to be famous,
Yeah.
and I'll go and audition a week and something will happen. It's like, no.
But you don't want to
No.
come to
This is
Hollywood to be
your
famous.
life.
You want Hollywood
No.
to be in your craft. If you want
Yeah,
to be
but you
famous,
have to hit the pavement. You got to pick up the phone. You
Go
got to
on.
be go,
And
go,
it wasn't
go, go.
even about, it's not even like in those scenarios, it's not even about being famous. It's about like just getting a job
Yeah.
and saying yes or saying no.
Right.
And
Or even having the opportunity to say yes or no.
That part,
exactly,
being in the room.
exactly.
Yeah, it's hard.
And so
it's very
yeah,
hard.
and I'm very fortunate that that job came to me through I don't know if you've ever known the franchise like Little Women LA.
Yes, of course.
Okay, yeah. So shout out to any Little Women LA fans out there. I have a friend, Tara Jolet, who's an executive producer of that show, also a person with dwarfism, and she like was, you know, a new mom at that time. And so Miley had like reached out to her to cover for Swing for that. And she knew that I was like in underground go-go scene, dancing my ass off. And she like entrusted me with like being her on call to be like, literally left me a message and was like, I need to know in 1 hour if you want to go with them. And it
This
was
is South America.
Yeah.
yeah.
And you'd
It's
never
not even
you never
like-
left the country, right?
And I had never been
Oh
out of
my
the country.
God.
I didn't
I
have
don't know
a passport.
what I would say.
Yeah.
Miley literally bought me a new passport, bought me all the visa, and I was in Mexico in 2 days.
And learning all the choreo on the
Learning 8 routines.
and then just
in
all
one
right,
day.
you're on stage now.
How
Yeah.
exciting.
It's
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah.
You know,
But
so
you have to take those
Yeah,
risks.
that's such a
Risks.
and challenge
You
yourself.
have to.
And that, but that's
You
why you're in
have
the
to.
entertainment
you have
industry,
to do
you know?
shit that
No.
scares
Those things
you.
are so
Yeah.
exciting.
You have to do shit that
Yeah,
scares you.
we are both
That was
Yeah.
the first. That was like how I met you all, because like when
Yeah.
I did that burlesque show that year, January, I said to myself, whatever's coming my way, I will say yes to if it scares me. And I'd never done this type of show before. I never
Right.
performed with it. Like originally, I was supposed to be pianist with
Yeah.
the singer.
And then you just said yes to the next
And then
thing.
they said, yeah, oh, can you be Jack in this act? I was like, oh, can you do this? I was like, why not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've always loved that about you as a performer too, and why you were one of the first people we were like,
Steven.
we want Steven, because it is a way that like the way that you live your life and your artistry and the way that you build your body and your costume and everything like that. It's like, okay, yeah, there are hunks that dance, but it's like more about you, like as a person when you're up there, and then versus like, and then someone comes and sees you like off stage and you're still a sweetie and you're still queer and proud, and you know,
also
and
play
there's
with
a
you also play with the
powerfulness.
tropes assigned to you too. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's funny because
Yeah.
people, his first time on the show, I didn't want him on the show. His friend brought me,
He
he's like, hey,
talked
can Steven
crap
come
about
on?
you,
And I was
yeah.
like, no, I don't want him.
Yeah.
Because I had
They
this
made fun-
idea
Because
of
you
who
have-
Steven
I-
Dehler is.
exactly,
Yeah. I was like,
And I did a magazine cover like a week weeks before where
And
I
I
had
made
like
fun
an
of him on the
octopus
show
on
without
my
even knowing.
head, and he like made full fun of me. And then
2
I
weeks
was
before, and then he comes in 2 weeks later and was like, "Oh," I was like, "No," but to get to know him,
Yes.
he's added such a special flair to
You
our
guys
friendship,
are
but
making-
also to the show.
Exactly.
Yeah. But then like universally, it's about taking risks.
Right.
And working with what you've got. And you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so
Exactly.
we all will find tropes that we are assigned socially, right?
Right.
So we can either allow those things to destroy us, or we can use
Flourish it, yeah.
them
Exactly.
to
This
tell
is
our
so-
own story.
And
I
reclaim
think,
them.
and I think
And
that's the, I
reclaim
think
it.
that's the commonality of what I think
Yeah.
everyone in the Beauty of Burlesque show is
Yes.
about.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's sort of the common chain through everyone.
Yes,
Exactly.
I agree.
And we like to find that and find people who have also tried telling that story in their own
Right.
skill.
You surround yourself with good people who have that same
Yes.
intention. And for you to take the challenge and be like, okay, I'm done doing somebody else's burlesque show. Let's just do ours because we know what the hell we're doing.
Exactly.
yeah, and you know, and this is always
Which is scary.
it's always
And
been where I've
waiting
started.
around for the
Yeah.
opportunity to show up is not going to happen.
And,
Right.
and Beauty of Burlesque has been an evolving show since 2015, and it's gone through reinventions, and I like that time and that breath to reinvent it and bring Katrina on as my production partner too, to give, you know, this concept room to grow. And it's amazing that it's evolved consistently throughout the years, even with the few hiatuses with COVID or the closing of the theater. And it's so important that that show has been in that space because of the history aligned with the structure of the show. And it's the message of the show has remained consistent no matter how many reinventions it's had. And it goes back to that, you know, core structure of what burlesque is, which is the satire, taking back ownership of the tropes,
Exactly.
Right.
weaving in social and political commentary,
Queer representation,
queer
especially
representation,
in today's
Yeah.
day and age.
body
Mhm.
representation, you know,
Yeah.
POC representation, and then also not having just these boxes ticked, but casting people with tremendous skill. And their skill is because of them as people committed to that skill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that
We really
has been an
admire
evolution
people
in casting
like
as
that.
well. And casting a show is something I do behind the scenes, and it's been a interesting journey as well, because there's so many talented people, but who do you choose? It's hard, you know?
And sometimes we choose people like well in advance, and it takes quite a while before we're like, this will be perfect for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Because it's not just the person, but the people that complement each other.
yeah.
And it's funny that one of your MCs is Jackie Beat.
Yeah.
She comes from that 80s NYC club kid. I mean, she was one of the original
Yeah.
club kids.
She did.
She's such a great host on the
Yeah,
show.
we
Yeah.
are such fans of Jackie
Yeah.
B,
Yeah, she's
and
great.
we talk about
and,
a legend.
and the history of Jackie, and
A
honored
writing
that
legend.
honored that Jackie
comedic
said
legend.
yes to.
I know. That really was like, okay,
privilege.
like we're leveling up
but
with
wanted-
her. Like,
But Jackie gets it, you know, and wants and knows that we aren't going to put such strict limitations, because
Right.
like a host like Jackie is very like, you got to know who you're casting. Jackie is a political commentary through and through, and it's so valuable, and the audience should leave. There should be some shock value. And we're not here to
Think a
make
little bit.
everybody
Yeah.
Think a little
happy.
bit.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about a bad review. Like I want people to feel something, and that maybe comes from my like performance art background.
Mhm.
Like I'm not afraid to ruffle feathers, and I think
No.
that
It's the gang background.
yeah, it's
literally.
yeah, but you know,
Because
but
we're
it's
like,
true,
if you
though.
walk out,
Right.
you walk out.
But
Like,
what's,
Yeah,
the, but
that
what's
part.
the
you
point?
miss the message,
But what's the
Yeah.
but
point?
you're also going home thinking about
But you're
it.
gonna,
That
but you're
part.
gonna have
Yeah.
a story.
That part.
You're
going
gonna
to have a story.
Yeah.
And it if it's not making people feel something, it's
Exactly.
not doing enough.
Exactly.
It's too safe,
Yes.
and art isn't safe.
Yes.
It's not palatable.
And when
like
you're safe, it's boring.
boring. And I
Snooze
think
fest.
Yeah.
being from, you know, all queer people here, like we aren't here to make people like
Comfortable.
comfortable. Exactly. The world hasn't been made comfortable for any of us, so it's like, why should I make it more comfortable for a particular lens? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it and that's a very controversial place to stand in business and as a
Yeah.
woman. And so,
Yeah.
and I stand
As
so
a queer
strong
woman?
as a lesbian woman.
I mean, how many boxes do you guys
I
need
know.
in your relationship?
All of them.
Check, check,
Katrina
check.
ticks many boxes alone, and I'm
She
just
ticks
there.
all your
as
boxes.
she ticks my box for
So I
sure.
heard.
She does more than that. But but it's true, and I want people that are aspiring to say perform burlesque to not be afraid to, like you said, try something, because I think in the world of social media where everything is documented, everything is voted on, everything is recorded, we're starting to see like people watering down their expression or following a trend of expression.
Right.
And the freedom in expression, even though there's so much saturation, is like limited, because there's always the thought of, will my audience like this? Will they like that? And we're
Will this be too
losing
much?
that punk
Will they-
rock
yeah.
Jackie Beat era of like, well, I'm, and there are people that brand themselves that way, but is it truly an authentic expression?
Yes.
You know what I mean? The clickbait, the rage bait,
100%.
it's becoming very saturated. So I think live shows are also very, very appealing to especially Gen Z, because they have grown up so saturated. They want to show up to something in person.
And they put their
Yeah.
phones
And
down,
they put
actually.
their phones
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Digital cameras
Love
are
it.
their thing now.
They're present in the moment. Because,
I
I mean,
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and it's, I'm really excited for like the next, like,
We talk about
Five
it all the
next show on
time.
May
but-
21st.
yeah, the next show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for everybody,
Yeah.
come to Los Angeles at the Globe Theater.
Yes.
May 22nd is the next show.
21st. 21st.
May
And it
21st.
is 18 and up. So
Yes.
the kids can come.
Bring the kids.
Sorry.
18 and up, honey. Come and have your queer awakening at Beauty of Burlesque.
So I know we have to go, but I want to know how you make it work while doing the creative process,
Yes, you
because
did
you're not
ask
going to
us.
agree
Right.
on that on it all the time, and I can just imagine.
We don't agree all the time,
Yep.
but that's been our friendship.
That's
though.
what you're saying. Like, you guys, you're
Yeah.
for so long. You're
Because,
able to
and
work
I
through it.
think that we educate each other on different sides of the entertainment industry.
One of my questions is, what have you learned the most from
Aw.
each other?
I've learned a lot about fashion and art history. A lot. This bitch loves a museum. Okay? Any city you go to, you will find her at a museum. And I love that about her. So much about like the progression of why we wear this and how it turned into that, and why we look at this, and that has been like a huge inspiration for me also, because I have always been someone that struggled with like wardrobe and clothing as a disabled person. And so Tosh has always made it like a very like loving gesture of educating me on like how, let's find this thing for you, and how can you wear that, and you should care about how you want to look at this and
Well,
this
you
and
should
that,
know
and
as an
like
option for you, because you can't buy it in
having
the store.
more options.
Yeah.
And when I would be like thinking about something you said earlier, but like trying to move away from the assimilation of like, oh, I just should be like, I should just stay small in my thinking of like what I'm capable of doing or wearing, and the inspiration from having her as my partner and has allowed me to feel very like proud and taking more thought into little gestures and large gestures when it comes to like how I'm being perceived. She's like, no, like
Or how you
people
wanna
really
express
perceive
yourself,
you
yeah.
this way, and you can express yourself the same way that people perceive you. And so it's allowed me to get more in touch with my womanhood and my femininity and my queerness, like being in a relationship with somebody that really is like allows me to feel safe in that,
Aw.
if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's so sweet.
Yeah.
I think that, one of the things that I've learned through our friendship is Katrina's okay, she is far more extroverted than me, like ironically. When I'm on stage, like I'm in control of that environment, but she is far more social and like she is the social
Getting
butterfly.
carried around.
She is the
Like, I
queen.
could do
She's
this.
the
I'm gonna be on the
queen.
bar.
She's the
I'm
queen.
gonna be on the bar, dancing my ass off, making out with some Asian girls.
Girl, she's always inspired me with her. But
I memorize people's names. I can recognize
Yeah.
people from 10 years
We're
ago.
a good
like,
team.
That's a talent because
Yeah.
I do not
Seriously.
have
I
that.
can't remember people's
a good
names from
team.
knowing them. For
and
10
I
years.
have 21 vision. I have beyond
can't-
So she
vision.
sees
I
through
can't
your
see
bullshit.
shit, and I can't see shit.
and she can't see.
But
and so
yeah,
I
it
like,
works out.
yeah, it
We
works
bounce.
out.
But through our friendship, it's been so inspiring to see Katrina's not only like her charisma, but her ability to fit into every environment. And it's such a skill. Like it and especially as a person who's going to stand out in every environment, she will hold her own and hold any room. And I mean, like we'll be at the senior home visiting a family member, or if she's on
Detox?
stage detox, or if you're on stage with, she is in deep conversation with somebody really, really sometimes for a very long time, but but I'm just teasing.
I love jealous. She gets jealous. She already said.
But she's
It's healthy to be when you're in a
It is.
relationship to be jealous.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
I mean,
That
a
is
healthy
so
jealousy,
cute.
not like a
That's
destructive.
but
But,
no,
yeah.
the just like the quality of her attention and connection and remembering people and remembering the moment, just like the meaningful connected, like the way that she stays connected with the world is so inspiring. And then just her bravery. And I put myself in the position like, okay, I live with my partner who's disabled, but like I can't, like if I was living in Katrina's shoes, how would I face the world? And there's so much about how she navigates the world and like the people and the idiots that approach her. We have like eyes. I'm like, do I go at him or are you gonna handle it?
She
But
gives me a moment,
but she,
and if it's not
but just-
like
and it's
quelled,
and
yeah.
it's like weird sometimes to be like, oh, I'm inspired by your disability. You know what I mean? Because we talk about this because it's not.
inspiration porn.
It's
If we
inspiration
don't
porn.
have
Yes,
that, that is not
That's not a
happening
part of our
at
It's not the
all.
dynamic.
disability they're inspired by. It's about how you just handle.
We are
how
so
you
not
live.
that.
the
We are
world-
like
the world hasn't caught up with where Katrina's at, but her grace and her patience is not something I think I would possess in the same way that she does. And it's so inspiring. And I have a lot of patience and grace in my field and what I do, but if I was faced with the physical inconveniences of the way our world is built, her patience is exponential. Like it is so powerful and moving, and it's just really amazing. She never complains about a thing. Seriously, when you have every
You're
right
sweet.
to. No, it's genuine and it's shocking, honestly.
And Tosh,
Yeah.
before we were dating, she was actually the first to hire me, manage me as a DJ and a tarot reader.
She does DJ and tarot cards at the same time too.
Right.
And
Oh.
so
Jesus.
she was
She's
the
reading
first
people
to give
and-
me like really fantastic gigs and advocate for me to where the point I was able to like give me a budget so I could buy the tarot booth that would actually fit. I could buy the DJ booth like that would like be accessible to me, and she would have no problem making sure that these venue owners knew like what I needed in order to plug in order to have my seat, in order to have the customers come in, like and
We
so
don't think about these things.
no, and she now, and that we are together and living together and everything, she's been in certain situations where like she'll be like make something accessible for me that I didn't even think of, and I'm like, holy
Oh, like the little
shit,
beauty
like,
area, the little mirror.
she's
Yeah.
there's been plenty, but yeah, there one of them,
She has a
she's
list.
Yeah.
she's made like a little vanity set up for me so that I could
Because
just
I
like
have
look in and like
Other
check
friends
everything.
with dwarfism too, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's shitty if they can't,
And are there
check
friends,
their
little
fit
people
in the
friends who
mirror.
are
Now I need
coming
to go find
over,
someone that
we're
talks to
living
me
with
like the way you two
them,
talk about each other. Like, god damn.
you know, and
They're gonna
and
go have the best
she would
sex
think
tonight.
about
That part. Get that strap on.
which one?
Which one? Hey.
$36.
But I don't know if we have time, but Katrina did bring her tarot cards. If you wanted a one
Oh,
card.
shit.
No, because we're over.
We're over.
Noah, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Noah.
He's like asleep.
I know. He's not even awake. He passed out.
We got.
So she does
Tarot
tarot,
cards.
DJ. Okay.
All right, we've got. Let's see.
One thing about us
We've
is we
got
can
two
talk
decks
forever.
here. We do talk forever.
Sorry.
That's one thing we're good at.
When did you have the time to get into tarot?
Oh my gosh, my entire childhood
And touring. It's her touring pastime.
and touring.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
With her
So,
Love Never Dies satchel. See?
This
You know.
was actually fan made.
Oh, wow.
Little Love Never Dies.
And so you did 600 performances?
That's just the amount that I
Did
Throw
in
out
America.
there.
offhand.
And that poor
but-
show went through so many changes.
Yeah.
Talk about an evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love Never Dies. It was also these are from the Great Wall of China.
Oh,
Okay.
These
There you
rocked. I have them as a
This
little
part of the wall
totem.
crumbling right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah. Take that.
But yeah, that show, it means a lot to me because I mean the message is so sweet. Love never dies. It really doesn't. And one of my favorite quotes in the show is life may be fleeting, love lives on. And I'm very lucky I get to play a historic part of that show. I'm the only principal actress with dwarfism who has traveled this long with a Broadway show, with an Andrew Lloyd Webber show. And I'm so grateful to him for that. And he asked me to come back and reprise that role
Wow.
in China specifically. And he always had this vision. He told us about having an American cast do that show and how much it meant to him. And he's cried about it, how much the show means to him. And he made that show happen while going through prostate cancer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it went through a lot of changes because while he was suffering at that time, it didn't get completed how he wanted it to originally. It came back, a group in Australia said, listen, can we redo this in the style of the Coney Island, almost like a kabuki fever dream. And he was like, this is what I want. And he was there all through previews, through blocking it. He would be there with a microphone going, you ran the hardest number of the day 13 times, and he would be like, again.
Yeah.
And that was an honor. And you've got his full orchestra and everything. So I was always a huge fan of his. I still am, and I would work for him again in a
I
heartbeat.
mean, that's music theater,
Royalty. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And the fact that he had a whole nod to Americana and circus and burlesque and everything in that show. It's almost like there's too many good ideas, and the show has people, they either love it or they hate it. And luckily the majority of people I've met, they freaking love it. And I get the best fans who reach out to me. They send me the cutest art.
But that's the
and-
same thing, love or hate the show, It's
Yeah.
it's a good feeling.
Or it's a love
Yeah.
hate with the show.
Or it's a love
Yeah.
with the show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
But just one
Okay.
card.
what are we asking questions about?
Because we might have to do this for maybe a TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. Because
What?
we don't want to yeah.
Can we do it like this? So can you pull 3 cards
Okay.
for Steven?
For Steven.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should
Alrighty.
Steven pull the cards. Okay, pull the
I'm
cards.
feeling
Steven.
it. I'm feeling it.
Oh gosh.
Okay, let Steven pull it.
That's okay.
No,
Let
no,
him
no.
pull it?
Yeah, let him pull it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just pick just
Touch him. Touch him.
I touch them. Okay.
Pick 3.
Okay. I'll do
And then hand the 3 to me.
1, 2. Let's do this one over here. Okay.
Okay. We've got your past, we've got your present, and we've
Oh, I
got
love
your
this.
future.
Yeah.
All right. Here's what we're working with, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
We've got, in your past, we've got the Knight of Wands. So you've been a carrier of fabulous ideas. You've forged ahead. People have entrusted you with the best armor. the best tools, the best weapons to get shit done. In your present, we have the devil card.
That sounds great.
That means, you know what? You're taking a bit of this skill and you're using it to your best abilities. You're using it for your confidence, your self-esteem, your earthly pleasures. You're using it to stack up. You're using it as your sexuality, or you're using your abilities of charisma and uniqueness, nerve, talent. It's all here in this devil card. Queen of Pentacles, honey.
Oh yeah.
That future. You are building an empire under the Steven name. This foundation. She's soft. She's femme. She's a homebody. She's got her throne, you know, and I feel like this energy for you, she's got these roses above her. There's a good fruitful harvest.
Well, I do put the fruit in fruitful.
So this is what I'm feeling for you in the present.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cute.
Okay.
Go
Queen
Katrina.
That's my first tarot reading.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Katrina.
Thank you.
Of course.
What doesn't she do?
I'm honored.
Was power couple.
Yeah.
The epitome of that definition.
All right. Well, we have gone way over time.
Yes.
We have to do another part 2 because we didn't get to half of these
I
questions.
know.
Oh, shoot.
I know. We'll have to do
All right.
I just want to ask, where can people find and follow you, and what is your message to your fans?
Oh, yes. You know, you can find all of our shows at beautyofburlesque.com. I am at Miss Tosh, of course. And my message to my fans would be to fearlessly and ferociously claim what you deserve.
I love that. At Beauty of Burlesque, and you can find me at Kueen Katrina, Queen with a K. Here's my message to my fans with the little tarot cards. Let's see. Oh, we've got.
Oh, not the
Love
mini
this,
tarot
yeah.
cards.
Oh,
The micro tarot
gosh.
cards.
We've got the 5 of Swords. Listen, if people don't want to fucking listen to you, move on until you find the people that are going to hear you out.
Yeah.
If people can't rise up to your vibration, vibrate the fuck out of that space.
Yes.
Rise above it.
Rise above it.
above it.
Yes.
Take your swords and carry them on. Those battles you've been through, they are all worth something. And they'll teach you. Keep moving forward.
Did you hear that?
Yes. Let's
Yeah.
do it. Yeah. Let's move forward.
Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you.
And that's it, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here every week on The Rocks. Big thank you to our engineer, Noah, by the way, and to Straw Hut Studios.
Yes, please like, share, and subscribe so we can continue bringing the fabulous programming coming to your way. Until next time.
Stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and if you drink,
Stay tipsy.
This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at ontherocksradioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.